What's up, everybody? Welcome to Badlands, a special training camp edition of the show, as both Will and I were at practice today, the last full Jets practice before the green and white. Will, I always stop myself at this point. It's not the green and white scrimmage anymore. It is the green and white practice. Although knowing Aaron Glenn, it's going to be pretty full throttle, I would imagine. And you and I, we were really happy we got out there on Thursday because it was a good one to be at. The intensity, there didn't have any kind of feel of a walkthrough or anything like that. It was great to be out there at Florham Park, and we're going to break down everything we saw today. Obviously, the standouts. Everybody's asking us, "What about Justin Fields? What about Justin Fields?" We'll get into all of that. And I'm glad we're both home now. It was crazy weather getting out of Jersey, but man, it's just the energy at practice has been pretty awesome. It feels like all summer.
Yeah, no, you make a great point. It's anyone that saw my Twitter, TikTok, whatever minute and a half reaction video, I stumbled three times saying the green and white scrimmage. So I'm right there with you on that. Yeah, I felt like the energy was good today. I always worry, and something we talk about. And this may be a microcosm again. They got to do it after a bye week and short weeks and things like that. But under Saleh, I do feel like there was always that malaise kind of after a day off, after rest, whatever it may be. And this was the first day off of camp, like the first real day off of camp, right? They hit
Yeah.
back-to-back days. They get a day off, and green and white on Saturday. Fans are there. Walk through on Friday. Not a walkthrough. It'll be a helmets practice, but it's a glorified, a lot of
Right.
one-on-ones and 7-on-7. So I think me and you both were like, hopefully they still bring it today. And I feel like they brought a lot of energy. It was, red zone periods, which are always very condensed. You can learn a lot, or maybe not learn a lot about some guys. So yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And I feel like, Connor, I feel like we start with Olu. I
Yeah.
just feel like I don't know how you don't take away personally, and I want you to kind of dive into it because you were locked in on him. But I asked Engstrand during the presser, I was like, he didn't lose a rep all day. And he was just like, we want to be consistent. I'm like, I don't know how much more consistent you get. What was your kind of reaction to seeing Olu, up close and personal, today?
Yeah, we've been gushing about him, and I was laughing when you asked Engstrand about that. It was almost like he didn't want to blow up a young player too much yet. He was almost too careful, where he's like, "Yeah, consistency," the classic kind of coach speak stuff. And
You're like,
Engstrand
shut up
was,
and give him praise, dude.
I was like, man, we were, right on the sideline today, and we were really zoning in on watching him. And everybody's heard this by now. Membu is drawing Will McDonald, and Clemens is getting a lot of the action against Olu because Jermaine isn't out there yet. And of course, that's an overmatch. I mean, let's be real. No matter what you think of Michael Clemens, Olu, he had no answers, and it felt uncompetitive. Now, and once again, not to, I know this podcast specifically kind of is really harsh on Michael Clemens, but what more could you want to see from Olu? And what stood out to me, Will, was we know what he could do in pass pro. He's so gifted. He's competent. He's smooth. He's explosive. He has really good anchor strength. When I saw him get off the ball today in the run game, because yes, he had some dry blocks on Clemens where he just relocated him off the line of scrimmage. They also let him get off the ball and climb to linebackers, or obviously block in on the interior guys and kind of, let Clemens read the play free. He moves people. He got so much stronger. He's got an incredible build. He really looks like an NFL offensive tackle right now, whatever he did in the offseason. He's always had that look because he's tall and lean, but now he looks strong and lean, and he plays strong and lean. And man, I think it's the most promising aspect of the Jets. You said this multiple times that he was the best player on the field today, and I completely agree. I didn't think it was close. And it's something that goes unnoticed because he was so unchallenged quite often. But Brees had a couple big runs. A couple of the running backs had some bigger runs. No Braylon Allen today. It was Isaiah Davis. Wanmu got some looks as well. Donovan Edwards, but Olu's not out there when Edwards gets the ball. And he was able to really, seal off some defenders. He just, what more could you want from him? And then, you've been at camp previously before this. This was my first day at the facility this summer. The way people talk about him all summer, it just has a lot of shades of DeBrickashaw Ferguson all over again.
Yeah, I think it's the way people talk about him, kind of, and just like it's a given. There's not really any conversation of we're not sure what he is, we're not sure who he is, or question marks. It's more of just how good can he get. And you
Like
mentioned the
Sauce
run
going
game.
into year two. Kind of
Yeah,
feels the same way.
yeah, it's like we don't worry about the person, we don't worry about the player. We're kind of more just like can this guy be an all-pro level player, or is he
Right.
just really good?
Right.
There was a play, Davis, I believe it's Isaiah Davis. I could be wrong in there, but a gazillion plays. They ran a version of power, and Olu, I was standing right next to you, and I'm sure you're probably like, I'm such a nerd when I watch football. Like, I'm like, oh, nice Ted block. Like I'm such a fanboy, like obsessing over a tackle tight end, whatever. But it was just nice to see like Olu put a guy on the ground just from like got a hand on a hip and just finished a block. And I was
Yes.
like, that's the one part of his game that, not that it was ever bad, but it's not him and Membu. If you combine them, they'd be a super tackle. Like that's just the
Yeah.
reality of who they are.
They
So
contrast each other very well. That's
yeah,
right.
which is nice. And then I thought the interior did a good job. I thought pass pro interior wise, I think I'm a little more concerned than the run game, and vice versa, maybe in the pass game for the tackles. And first two couple plays of team, Fields did throw an interception. He was high. His mechanics were a little off, but the first play was exactly what you want to see from the Jets offense. 2-man route, some play action. Fields had forever to throw. Ones versus ones. Reynolds wins his route in like a nice dig route, 15, 20 yards over the middle. Fields accurate. I was like, boom, that's it. And then he comes back and Fields got his shoulders a little off balance and overthrew Garrett, or I don't know, you could take some try, whatever. There was some bit of miscommunication. It was a little high on the throw and it gets picked off. But it just shows you Angstrom, I feel like, is designing a lot of 2 and maybe 3-man routes a lot of the time. Yeah. And it's going to be get 6 or 7 guys, give Fields time, and if he doesn't have time, get off and run. Fields was up and down today, as you mentioned. I did like the one positive thing, because I don't think Fields was great today. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. Me and you both, I thought, they were down in the red zone, and something Fields does not do a great job of, as a lot of mobile quarterbacks, they want to hold on to the football.
Right.
They want to make a play. That's totally fair. Fields saw Quincy blitzing from his blind side right away, dumped it to Brees for a touchdown.
Yes.
And people are going to say,
drifting.
oh, it's drifting. 2-yard route. Will and Connor, why are you guys getting outside of Dude, because that's what Fields isn't good at. He's not good at doing these different things of processing quickly, getting the ball out of his hands. If he can do a little more of that, Connor, I think it'll help him a lot more in some of those longer developing routes.
I completely agree. It feels like they are constructing the offense, and you only get to see so much at practice, and what we're allowed to, because
especially the fan practices, they kind of dumb it down.
Right. It was a packed house today, so you're absolutely right. I know you've been to one without fans and one with, and so they're going to be a little careful with that. The one thing that I tapped on the shoulder was like the RPO look in the red zone, where it kind of takes all of the thinking away from Fields. That's a little unfair because he has to make the decision to hand the ball off or throw it, but he's not dropping back and going through 3 different reads and then deciding to run. It was just, okay, I'm either handing this ball off or the guy's open. And he ripped one, Mason Taylor, I want to say.
Yeah, it was Mason Taylor, yeah.
Which was really good to see because Mason's a guy that is going to have that late release off the line of scrimmage where that can work in RPO really well. So that is a part of the offense that I think they are really, really excited about and feel Fields will thrive in. You mentioned the one where he's drifting back and hits Brees perfectly for the touchdown. Yeah, it wasn't a great day from Fields, especially the more in between the 20s kind of stuff, which we didn't see a ton of today. We saw a little bit of it today. But yeah, there's only so much you could take away from practice. But I think what you have to also take into account for is we don't get to see the explosive running in practice because it feels like they're coaching Fields to make the throw. And we already know you could take off and run in the game. Like, we don't need to see that over and over again in practice, where you see that with a lot of younger quarterbacks that are going to do, like Adrian Martinez is going to do that. And they're kind of coaching him how Tyrod practices. We know Tyrod can get out and run, not at the same level anymore as Fields, but Tyrod stands back there and throws or evades one guy and throws. It's not hold the ball. So they're trying to coach that out of him. And I guess that brings us, Will, to a guy that caught multiple touchdowns today from Tyrod, Brandon Smith, who it just felt like every time we turned around, he was the only pass catcher making a play.
Yeah, I was really impressed with him. Again, me and you were talking a little bit about it, and I transparently, I was pretty unfamiliar with Brandon Smith going into the spring.
I didn't eval him in his draft class.
Yeah, there wasn't much there. I'd heard some really nice things about him in the spring from some of the guys, and I was like, hey, I'll keep an eye on him in camp. And you never know. We've had too many guys that everyone knows there's no pads on, no OTAs. The bets are kind of, not in this camp, but in general, this kind of happens. Some of the young guys are 120 miles an hour and these workouts, and they look great. And they get into camp and they do nothing. And again, I don't know what Brandon Smith's ceiling is in the NFL. I don't know if he's a borderline 53 guy? Is he a contributor? Is he not even a 53 guy? I'm not entirely sure. We'll see in the preseason. He's going to get a ton of go. But man, like a lot of tough catches, toe taps. He ran a stick nod that was really nice over the middle of the field. He had a nice play in one-on-ones and kind of a glorified fade. I thought he just made some tough catches. Honestly, you see him a lot. He pops. And then sometimes it's harder for these young guys in practice. They're swimming a little bit. And I know Smith's 26. I don't want to glorify him. Like he's a UDFA from last year. He's been around the NFL for 4 or 5 years now. But I don't know, man. It's hard for me to convince myself now, seeing 2 practices up close, that there's any use for a Lazard, Corley, Gibson. They're not doing, like, he's making 4 times the amount of plays per practice. And he's a bigger body and he's athletic. I don't know. To me, unless he totally has a dud the rest of the summer, he at least offers you something. And if he can play a little special teams, I'm taking him with me on the 53 because at least he offers me something.
That's probably the big thing they're going to try to figure out is, can he give us anything on specials where we can keep him right now? And once again, I've been following practice every day, but this is the first one I got to stand on the sidelines and actually watch and see every rep. I mean, Garrett is Garrett. That's a non-conversation. It feels insanely wide open after that, where all you could do is evaluate guys making plays. And what I know is Josh Reynolds is a pro. That's, not a typical number 2 wide receiver, but he's a pro that's going to make the roster. Tyler Johnson, we were saying, he's a pro, can go out there, run a route, catch the football. Should ideally make the roster in the same kind of mold. But after that, I mean, Arian Smith, not trying to confirm priors and anything like that. He's a young player, going to give him time. But he's, you're not seeing a lot. The drops are showing up in camp, which, is something he's going to have to work on over time. The one throw from Tyrod he got his hands on was behind him. We'll give him that one. But even in drills, there was a drop in red zone today. So I think it's going to be a really slow burn with Arian Smith. Anybody that's expecting him to line up out there in 11 personnel and run all these routes, we're not seeing that in camp.
He feels like, doesn't he just feel like, Connor, it's like 2 to 3. He's going to couple first down play actions where he's going to try to take a safety with him and get Garrett open underneath, or they'll run one deep. They did it the other day. They ran he ran a deep 40-yard over in Fields, threw it into triple coverage, and just like F it ball. I think that you're going to get one of those a game. Maybe you get one go ball and a couple other just take the top off, and that's really it for right now. Maybe it gets better, but right now that's kind of his role.
Yeah, that's really it right now. So you look at this, and then Lazard has been a ghost, honestly. Like,
Did you see him today? I don't remember
much.
seeing him one time.